Gonna need a drink for this one. Juicy title, that's for sure. A very juicy title to this video. I know some of you are going to ask, so I'll leave a link to the bottle down in the description. So, I'm going to get my laptop ready because I'm going to have quite a lot of notes for this video. Just want to make sure I cover everything basically. How I made over $500,000 from selling website templates or website themes, however you want to say it. So, long-time followers will know that I was an avid user of Tumblr. I had a Tumblr blog, don't post on it anymore. Haven't posted on it for years actually. But yeah, massive user of Tumblr. I used to love using Tumblr. It's just a place where, you know, you could basically have your own sort of little corner of the internet. You could have your own sort of website. And it's what really sort of drew me into having my own website, into sort of making my own thing on the internet. I don't know how I even came across it. I can't actually remember. I think it might have just been from looking for sort of photography inspiration sort of thing. It's where I used to go actually for a lot of photography inspiration before I went to places like Instagram and stuff. I remember Tumblr and Flickr were the main places where I used to go for photography inspiration. So straight away after setting up my own Tumblr blog, I wanted to customize it. I wanted to make it look the way I wanted it to. I remember looking at tons of different themes and seeing all sorts of templates and stuff that you could just find across the web and installing them, trying them out, whatever else you could do basically. And that's also how I sort of fell into learning HTML and CSS, because a Tumblr blog was quite basic in terms of the way it was built. You just had normal HTML and CSS, and then you had Tumblr's own syntax, which again was very simple, very easy to understand. And yeah, it was sort of my first foray, you could say, into basically customizing a website and making it sort of the way I wanted. At the time, I did have my Ultralinks blog as well, which was based on WordPress, and I knew there was also another huge market for WordPress themes. And I remember looking for WordPress themes. I remember looking on ThemeForest. I remember seeing the top selling themes and thinking, bloody hell, these guys are making serious money. Even now, when I look at ThemeForest and the top selling theme, it's making over 100,000 a week, which is just insane, you know, just from a website theme, basically. You're making over 100,000 a week. That's just fantastic. It's a great way for anyone who's passionate about WordPress themes to make really good money. But I concentrated on Tumblr at the time, mainly because it was much simpler. Tumblr itself, as the way it was built and everything, as I said, you know, HTML, CSS, and just its own syntax was very simple compared to WordPress. WordPress and PHP, you know, that was just way out of my depth. Even now, I'm not even proficient in it. I'm sort of just learning as I go. When you wanted to install a theme, Tumblr had their own theme garden. And this theme garden basically had top themes by top developers where you could find really nice, high quality Tumblr themes. And yeah, some of them were free, some of them were paid. It was just the go-to place to finding Tumblr themes. Now, with the Tumblr theme garden, I had no idea how well the themes did, how much developers made or whatever else. I simply made Tumblr themes for fun. You know, I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed sort of messing around with Tumblr sites and stuff like that. So I knew that if I wanted to make a little bit of money at least, and if I wanted to make some money from the themes, that I needed to be in the Tumblr theme garden. The Tumblr theme garden at the time was an invite only place. You basically just had to be selected to make and sell Tumblr themes for Tumblr and in their theme garden. But in 2013, at the end of 2013, I sort of just emailed them anyway and just asked if I can make Tumblr themes and sell them on the theme garden. And they emailed back saying no. They rejected me. And yeah, at the time I was just like, oh man, you know, this is a bit shit. Like, you know, I really wanted to sell my Tumblr themes. You know, I thought I was making some good themes and I wanted to give them to other Tumblr users. So yeah, at the time I was just like, damn, what am I going to do? I mean, I also didn't really know how much money there was to be made either. So I was sort of oblivious to it all. I didn't let it get me down though. I just thought, hey, I'll keep making Tumblr themes. I'll keep releasing free themes for people to use. And yeah, tens of thousands of people started using them. I think one of my free themes has like over 70,000 different Tumblr blogs that use it. So I could see that there was demand for my themes. I could see that people like my themes because tens of thousands of people were using them. Then in 2014, after upping my experience in designing and coding Tumblr themes, and after showing Tumblr, look, you know, there are tens of thousands of people using my themes. Is there any way I can get in? They let me in. And I got the ball rolling. They had a ton of different requirements though, and they're also very strict on those requirements, making sure that, you know, you design for this, that and the other, making sure you sort of adapt to their system, which made sense because they wanted everyone to have a good experience when using a Tumblr theme. So yeah, they just wanted to keep the quality as high as possible. Straight away, the money started rolling in and it absolutely blew me away. I just wasn't expecting to make this much money, this quickly. And I remember some months I was making over $30,000 a month in just pure profit. And yeah, I was 21 at the time. So 21-year-old making that sort of money, you kind of think you're on top of the world. This is insane, especially when you're going from making basically nothing, no money, to making tens of thousands a month. It's just like, wow, this is basically going to change my life. And that's what it did. Unfortunately, Tumblr doesn't have sort of analytics showing you how much you made per month. They just have a sort of total revenue figure. But yeah, total revenue since then is over $680,000, which is just obviously insane from selling some website templates, some website themes. This revenue figure is after Tumblr's cut and after they charge VAT, because they're the ones charging VAT to the end customers for people like in the UK and in Europe. But yeah, that's the figure that I take home, that comes to me. And then obviously I have to pay my own taxes on it as well, on whatever profits that I make. When it came to costs to running this business and sort of just keeping it going, I was paying some developers part-time to do the complicated JavaScript stuff, because a lot of the HTML and CSS I could do myself. I'd learned how to do it basically just from looking online, looking at tutorials and seeing what I could manipulate and basically just developing my HTML and CSS skills. And then for JavaScript stuff, things like, grids, post grids and slide out menus and sort of interactions in a theme, I used to pay a part-time developer to basically do those for me. The cost for a developer at the time was anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And yeah, that was pretty reasonable for what it was, because they weren't working full-time, they were working only part-time. They were only managing a small part of my business whilst I did everything else. The great thing about this business is that it made money whilst I slept. So I used to wake up in the morning, see the revenue figures and see that I'm already at $500 for the day, which is just incredible. Making that sort of money whilst you're not actually putting in the time, it's just incredible. It's such a good feeling knowing that people like your products, people are buying your products, and you're not having to constantly put in time to make that revenue come in. When I first started selling those themes, I did put in a lot of time, a lot of effort into building a collection of themes and sort of just covering every single sort of market and every sort of niche that I possibly could with Tumblr and the sort of limitations that it had. I just wanted to make sure that I covered all bases and that I was designing and making themes that I really enjoyed making. After I had created the initial collection of themes that I had, I only spent a few hours every week handling support, handling any bugs, things like that, and just making sure everything was running smoothly. I remember I also made a support site, just answering all the frequently asked questions, having tutorials and guides and things like that, so that people could get answers straight away and find their answers straight away without having to get in touch with me. And it also meant that I didn't have to spend time replying to individual emails and stuff like that, when I can have all this information, all of these tips, all of these tutorials all in one place. When I look back, the last theme that I made was actually in May 2016. Since then, I haven't made any more themes, but they have continued to sell. The big question is, why did I stop? Why did I not put in any more time? Why didn't I grow that business anymore? And there are a few reasons as to why. I fell out of love of making themes. After churning out all these different themes, I sort of just hit a ceiling in what could be done with Tumblr and the platform. And I sort of just hit my creative ceiling as well. I wasn't getting that satisfaction of creating great looking themes and stuff, because they all started to basically look the same and started doing the same thing. So yeah, that sort of creative outlet for me sort of just disappeared, and it wasn't something that I was enjoying much anymore. Tumblr was also sort of dying. Ever since it was sold to Yahoo, there hasn't really been any innovation. There hasn't been any changes. There haven't been any sort of adjustments or anything like that. It looks pretty much exactly the same as it did back in 2016, which is just incredible because it had such a loyal base. It had such a great amount of users who are very passionate about the website, about the platform. I think from a business perspective, Yahoo didn't really know how to monetize it or how to make money from it. So they sort of just let it run in the background, didn't really innovate on it, didn't really do anything for it, and sort of just let it die out. Naturally, that also meant less revenue for me. Less and less people were using Tumblr, less and less people were coming to Tumblr. Instagram was like exploding at the time. Everyone was moving to Instagram, I realized, and it's where I moved over to as well. It's where I was showing my photography and things like that. And it's funny because when I look back, I think 2015, 2016, 2017 was when I sort of grew my Instagram following to where it is now. Those sorts of years, I was gaining thousands of new followers every month. It's slowed down so much now. I think Instagram, again, is sort of, I hate to say, I think Instagram is going to die soon as well. But yeah, when I saw the revenue was declining, even when I released new products and new themes, I just knew that it wasn't a long-term business for me. In 2016, I decided to pivot basically. So I left the business running in the background, making money. I thought, hey, it's making me a few $1,000s a month. Let's let it keep doing that because it requires very, very little work to do that. And let's start building other businesses. Let's start building other income streams. And that's what I did. A lot of the money that came from the themes, I used it, invested it in other businesses. I also invested it in myself and sort of making sure that I was comfortable. You know, for example, this house, I used that money to buy this house. I used that money to basically just make sure that I was set up so that if the revenue completely disappeared, you know, I'd be good for however many months, however many years, I'd be protected. And that's what I did. This was my first business that really sort of popped off, that made great revenue. I had lots of other little side projects that never really worked out, lots of other websites that never really worked out. But this was, I guess, my first proper business that really sort of brought in a lot of revenue. This themes business doesn't make me anywhere near as much as it used to. I'm making anywhere between $500 to $1,000 a month. It can very much vary. Obviously, it's still a nice little side income considering I barely put any work into it. So what did I learn from running this business? Well, the main one being that I knew I was riding a wave. I knew this wasn't a long-term business. I knew that I was just in a sort of trend and that I just sort of had to get in and get out. This wasn't a long-term thing. It indirectly taught me how to design Tumblr themes and websites and things like that, and making sure that I can handle these limitations that Tumblr has. Because when it comes to design, you can design anything you want. But when you have a set of limitations, when you have a set of rules that you have to follow, it's actually much tougher, I found. And you've got to sort of learn to adapt to those rules and make sure that your design still looks great, but still follows the rules. It also indirectly taught me HTML and CSS, because if I wanted to make these website themes, if I wanted to make my Tumblr look the way I wanted it to, I had to learn HTML and CSS. There's no other way around it. I could have paid a developer to do it, but I wasn't making any money. So what's the point of putting all this money into a developer to make these themes when I wasn't certain about how much money I was going to make? So I put in the effort of learning HTML and CSS, and I definitely don't regret it. Learning HTML and CSS has been massively helpful, not just in this business, but in pretty much every other business that I've done. It's really opened my eyes up to making websites, designing websites and things like that. I learned how to handle customers and how to handle customer support. I would have all sorts of different customers, all sorts of clients, all sorts of businesses as well get in touch with me about my Tumblr themes, making them want to work the way they want them to work, wanting to do all sorts of modifications and customizations and all these sorts of different things. And I realized that there are so many different ways to help all of these people, and making a support website was one of the best ways to do that because it had a lot of the frequently asked questions that I always got over email. I think the biggest thing that I learned though was that I shouldn't be stupid with the money that I make from this business, because it was a finite resource. It wasn't something that was just going to keep making money. I knew that using this money, putting it into other businesses, putting it into myself, putting it into assets and things like that is what is going to really help me in the long term. I wanted this money to work for me, and that's what I've done. The money that I made from this business has really helped me launch all of my other sort of projects and businesses that I have, and invest into assets that also make me money. So yeah, I did learn a lot from running this themes business. I did learn a lot from making this money, and you know, I did enjoy it too here and there. You know, you've got to enjoy yourself a little bit, but mostly I sort of set myself up and I thought, hey, I've got to make this money last. I've got to use it for other things that will really help me in the long term. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know my other finance videos have become quite popular. You guys seem to enjoy them, and I want to make sure that you guys do enjoy them. I don't want to be making them if no one's going to be watching them or if no one's going to be interested. So if you did enjoy this one, please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment below. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below as well. I just want to make sure that you guys enjoy this video. So tell me that you do. Tell me that you enjoy them, so I'll keep making them. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe for more.